starting with motivation, it's widely known that motivation and educational interventions can long be recognized as vital components in successful diabetes care. We know that there are a large number of studies which have shown the beneficial role of conventional motivational techniques in improving metabolic control among patients with type 1 diabetes. A lot of studies have shown also that the use of telemedicine leads to improvement in glycemic control in diabetic patients compared to standard care. And new technologies are related not only to improvement in metabolic control, but also the level of knowledge about diabetes and patient adherence. And it's also emphasized that interactive behavior change technology is a potential source not only of improving the efficacy of diabetes treatment, but also of involving patients in its treatment and enhancing his sense of responsibility for the disease. But although a huge progress seems to have been achieved in these brand new techniques and patient adherence, we know from previous lectures that there is a lot of people who doesn't achieve diabetic goals. From previous desk symposium, we know that there are lots of factors responsible for poor adherence, also from psychological area, especially low level of motivation to treatment. Actual studies associated with telemedicine and brand new techniques in diabetes are based mainly on education and analyzing the results by using special platforms, which usually means patient sitting in front of the computer who has to log into the platform and send some results. And I found that there is very plenty of studies on motivation in this area. And that's why the aim of the study was an evaluation of the role of motivational illnes in improving glycemic control, the level of acceptance of the illness, and satisfaction with diabetes treatment in adults with type 1 diabetes. At the beginning of the study, we subdivided patients at a random into two groups, control and motivated. And the whole study consisted of 3 stages. In each stage, we measured hemoglobin A1C, and patients were asked for complete psychological and validated questionnaires, diabetes treatment satisfactory questionnaire, and acceptance of the illness scale. The interval between stages was 3 months. The study included 202 adults with type 1 diabetes, treated with functional intensive insulin therapy by pens or by using insulin pumps. And the final statistical analysis included all the patients who participated at least in the second stage of the study, which was 177 people. And there were no differences between groups in the following areas: age, duration of diabetes, methods of treatment, education, place of residence, work, physical activity, glycated hemoglobin at the beginning of the study, and BMI. The only very poor difference was in sex, but as you see, it's on the border of significance. And the groups were differentiated by use motivation between first and second stage in motivated group, and between second and third stage there was no motivation in this group and no intervention. And of course, in control group we didn't use any intervention for the whole duration of the study. What was motivation? Motivation included 2 stages. First, it was a very short stage, and it was essential step for creating intention according to Eisen's theory of motivation and change in behavior. And it was very short interview, face-to-face, when patients were creating the goal and they want to achieve in treating diabetes, the reason and possible ways to achieve this target. And after that, for next 3 months, they received emails only twice a week. One was longer email, it contained homework, and one was shorter, only for reminding. It was usually only 1 sentence. And the aim of homeworks was to involve patients in the process of treatment and increase the chance for maintaining changes in adherence they started. And thanks to homeworks, motivational techniques took into account empowerment and self-management. They were standardized, which means that each patient received the same messages. And what I want to stress is that it was only one-way communication, which means that patient didn't respond for messages, but they only confirmed they have read it. And the aim of this kind of communication, one-way communication, was to create the basis for making possibility to send this kind of messages by a computer system in the future without engaging any people. And these messages were created in order to increase not only the knowledge about diabetes, but also to let patients make some reflections about their treatment, to draw some conclusions about their empowerment, and to create self-efficacy in treating diabetes. They were based on actual Diabetes Association recommendations, motivational theory, motivational interview by Rolnick, and they included patient's autonomy. These are the topics of emails. It was motivation and creating the goal, self-control, blood glucose testing, diet and counting carbohydrates, physical activity, and coping with stress. And this is the example of the longer email about planning. The one who moves a mountain begins by carrying away small stones. To make big changes in your habits, it's important to start from small steps, then continue and finally implement. Did you know that testing blood sugar takes only an average about 30 seconds? It's only 5 minutes in all day. Next time notice how long it takes. Perhaps you will be surprised that it only takes a moment. And the homework, consider what might be next step in changing your diabetes treatment behaviors. Remember to keep those you have already implemented. And this is the next longer one. About glycemic control. In addition to know what's your blood sugar during the day, it's also important to know what factors affects your glycated hemoglobin. That was the diagram. It's mainly dependent on your choice. And the homework, think in your free time what factors affect your blood sugar values. Then divided them into two groups, those you have influence on and those that are not dependent on your choice. Think and write down how you can improve these ones that depend on you. You can use material in the appendix. Good luck, and it was the appendix patient could use. And this is shorter ones. Look at your diabetes diary, check how often you take your blood sugar, look at the values, think what can you change in your results. Or tomorrow get up 30 minutes earlier and start the day from physical activity. And we obtained the following results. We didn't notice any significant difference in control group in glycated hemoglobin. It was 7.7, 7.6, and 7.7. But we obtained a significant decrease in glycated hemoglobin from 7.8 to 7.5 in motivated group just immediately after intervention. And what was surprising for us, there was also significant decrease in the third stage of the study where patient didn't receive any intervention. And what we want to check is it was the percentage of people who pursued the goal, glycated hemoglobin less or equal 7%, and there were no differences in percentage of people in control group, but there was significant increase of the percentage of people who pursued this goal from 26% to 38%, and it was the same value in the third stage of the study. We were also wondering if the difference between glycated hemoglobin weren't related to more hypoglycemic episodes, but the frequency of hypoglycemic episodes were on the same level in the control group, and in the motivated group there was no significant differences. And I want to stop in this area because I found it quite important, the fatigue of illness. I asked myself if reading these emails, participating in this study, and doing homework isn't tiring for patients, and maybe it's related to the increase of fatigue of illness, because I have an impression that there is a huge number of very well prepared tools, very professional tools that offer everyday contact with a doctor. They offer very precise analysis of diabetic results. They offer some good platforms patient can use, and maybe they are very effective, but we never know if they don't change the fatigue of illness. Maybe not, maybe they don't, but I think that some of them can be very absorbing to patient, and we wanted to create some tool that would be very simple and would be effective but wouldn't be very tiring. And in this study, patient read emails only twice a week, so the fatigue of illness hasn't changed in motivated group, and in control group it was also the same. Unfortunately, we couldn't see any differences between in acceptance of the illness. The level was constant for the whole duration of the study, and in control group it was also the same, and there were no differences in the level of satisfaction with diabetes treatment and in control group as well. And I was wondering that maybe it was associated with relatively high level at the beginning of the study in acceptance of the illness and satisfaction with treatment, or maybe it was also associated with the content of the mails, because they were about education, motivation, not about acceptance of the illness. But we've noticed the significant increase of the number of glucose measurements per day in motivated group just immediately after intervention, and in the third stage of study. There was no differences in control group. And we've seen that there was significant increase in physical activity in motivated group, but only just immediately after these emails. So only in second stage of the study. These results led us to draw some conclusions. The use of selected motivational emails is associated with an improvement of glycemic control without increasing the number of hypoglycemic episodes and the level of fatigue of illness, but it's not associated with any significant difference in the level of acceptance of the disease and satisfaction with treatment in adults with type 1 diabetes. Maybe there is a space also for very simple tools which are associated with relatively low impact but strong effect, and are based also on motivation, reflection, and making independent choices in everyday life with diabetes. Certainly motivation is the key to every area, especially in treating diabetes, but also in everyday life in whole areas. Thank you very much for your attention and patience.